Hello, and welcome to the Mobile User Acquisition Show, a podcast to help you unlock tremendous growth for your app. My name is Shamant Rao. I'm the CEO of the boutique growth marketing firm Rocketship HQ and host of the podcast Mobile User Acquisition Show. In each episode, we feature experts in the field of mobile growth and discuss strategies, tips, and pointers from the leading edge of mobile growth marketing. By the end of each episode, you will have gained actionable and tactical insights that will help you make more informed decisions in your own work around growth. The Mobile User Acquisition Show is produced by Meryl Vincent, Content Marketing Manager at Rocketship HQ. Today's episode is a part of a very special segment of the Mobile UA Show, the Mobile Spotlight Series. In these special episodes of the Mobile Spotlight series, we shine a spotlight on some of the smartest experts in mobile marketing. Our featured guests do a deep dive into a specific area of mobile marketing and share hard-won insights from the front lines of their work that can help you unlock growth, revenue, and ROAS profitably and sustainably for your own products. Without further ado, let me hand over our mic to our featured guest of the day and welcome them to the Mobile Spotlight.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amy Monier, former Director of Product Marketing at Zynga and current founder of Appspand, an app marketing agency for mobile startups. I'm today's guest on the Mobile Spotlight segment of the Mobile User Acquisition Show. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about how marketing and product teams can leverage and track user-generated referrals to drive new user acquisition. Some of the key highlights that we'll be going over today are what the 4 psychological motivations are in driving UGR, how we can customize and set up UGR tracking and first-time user experiences for our referral programs, and our referral program promotion, how we create awareness for our referral programs through owned media. All right, let's get into it. I believe one of the most undervalued and underutilized and possibly under-optimized channels for driving high-value new users is user-generated referrals, UGRs. However, teams must be willing to invest in this channel. They must be willing to test and track referrals like any other UA channel, one that needs ongoing experimentation for optimization. So let's get into the 4 common psychological motivations for driving UGR currently that we see across apps and mobile games. The first one, let's start out with, which most people have heard of, is FOMO, fear of missing out. What first comes to mind for fear of missing out, the app that has done the best job at this, hands down, is Snap. Snap is the best example of a company that made an entire app around FOMO. For a user that's not in the app or the game, sheer curiosity might be enough motivation for them to download an app and check it out, especially in Snap's case, if it was time limited and something might expire. However, FOMO may only get people to download. It won't necessarily mean people will stay. So if the app does not inspire the invitee or the person that's been invited to participate or stay in the app, it will lead to lower quality new users, or what I call window shoppers. This is why setting up a unique onboarding experience for UGR makes an impact on retention as compared to funneling them through the standard FTUI. We'll get into that a little bit more, but it's important to point out why having a unique onboarding experience for referrals may make an impact on your overall referral program's retention. The next one that, again, I think is pretty common and people see it often, I know I fall for it a lot, is the discount, free gift, exclusive content psychological motivation. Games, shopping apps, subscriptions, they're all leaders of effectively utilizing this value exchange to motivate current users to send out invites to friends and families in exchange for something the user finds valuable or scarce. One common mistake, however, that I see often is that an app does not offer enough value to the existing user or the new user to participate in the referral program. Apps should be willing to compensate users the full dollar value, and I repeat, the full dollar value they would pay to an ad network for an install. I think that's an important point to stop on, because I do think sometimes referral programs don't necessarily compensate the invitee or the inviter fairly, and thus this could cannibalize some of the experimentation when you compare it to your other UA channels' performance. A couple words of caution here when you're utilizing discounts, incentivization, free gifts, things like that. Please remember that Apple rejects apps that offer incentivization for downloads because that does violate developer guidelines. Thus, apps must think outside of the box when creating deals or discounts and free gifts to motivate users. Some of these examples, maybe they could earn physical merchandise, or they earn some sort of currency outside that's redeemable on an external website that has value to them. Also, it's important to note, when offering high-value gifts to your users, you do expose yourself to fraud. It's important to track and confirm all installs are real, just as you would with an ad network. All right, enough about that. Let's get into our third, which is competition or challenge. I think this one's another one that mobile games does well, which is allowing users to generate content and post that onto their social medias. It's a great way to supercharge referrals naturally. Wordle did this really well by allowing users to share their daily scores as sort of a humble brag easily onto social media, specifically Facebook. TikTok also allowed their users to post what was called their TikToks, which we know is the 15-second ad formats, to other social media sites in an effort to bring brand awareness to TikTok. One thing that they did that's very important is that when users did share their TikToks, it was always had the TikTok logo, brand, watermark, and the user ID. I think that's very important, and we'll get into why that might matter later on UGR tracking. But this did help kind of catapult TikTok into social networking categories, top charts, by utilizing other social networks to get brand awareness and more downloads. I think there is some challenge with humble brag moments when people are inspiring other people to compete or potentially challenging them to a game or just creating better content than they have. And that's often that they don't contain trackable linear links. This is why having an ID or a unique username on the creative image or video can then provide a directional signal around the impacts of humble brags driving installs from certain users. And very important when you're doing kind of retroactive data analysis on what might be working for your referrals program. Another challenge is the varying formats of video and images safe space on social media. Wordle is a great example, again, of how using a simple screenshot style asset can still lead to virality. Let's get into our last psychological motivation, which is exclusivity. Exclusivity will generally motivate a user to join or try to join a prestigious community. Some of the apps that do this well are dating apps. I'm going to start with one called Raya, which is the formal dating app where you have to actually be approved, invited, and or have a referral from somebody already on the app to join. And I think Clubhouse app did this very well as well when they started their virality. Both apps kind of created hype as well as maybe a little bit of FOMO, which is really a winning formula for attracting A-listers and, of course, all the wannabes. This is a great approach to add layers of moderation and quality control for small app developers that are building a social or communications app, where having too many people or too much content can be expensive. It can also lead to a lower quality experience. It also allows the introduction of a quick monetization tactic that allows new users immediate access by allowing them to pay to enter the app if they don't have access code and invite or referred from another user. So those are our 4 psychological principles. Let's get into the next section, which is a little bit about how UGR tracking and or onboarding can kind of be customized for referrals. So I think it's important to start off by saying that letting users share the links and or user-generated content where and how they want is imperative to getting the inviter to take an action. But making it as simple as possible to share with the most users possible in a single share action can and should be optimized by the app. It's very important that if you have an inviter engaged, that you make it as easy as possible for them to invite their friends. How do apps necessarily track the invites? There's a couple different ways, and we'll get into some of the pros and cons of each. Apps generally can use an MMP's deferred deep links or DDLs to track and route referred users to the storefront and then to a specific dialogue or location and bypass the standard FTUI. I do think most apps utilize both links and a manual input of like someone's user ID or promo code, invite code together as common deterministic solutions to track down funnel LTV of UGR cohorts. I think the reason they can use both and should is because of the fact that we know some people won't manually input it, and we know occasionally links, sadly, will break. And thus having both of them together may give a better holistic picture of the value that your UGR program is providing in terms of new users and their LTV. I think when we talk about deferred deep links, we also get into the fact that those deferred deep links can link into a customized FTUI. As stated earlier, the invitee user experience should be tailored to the motivation that brought them in, as well as one that connects them almost instantly to the person that invited them. With DDL and an invested product team, you can customize the user experience for UGRs. I think this is a really also important thing to note as kind of a sanity check if you're talking with your product team and your marketing about the performance of a referrals program. If an app is generating a significant amount of UGRs and the cohort exhibits lower D1 retention as compared to the baseline of new organic users, it might be time to optimize the user experience of that FTUI. And it's a great way to work with the product team on figuring out how you can increase the effectiveness of the referral program. Lastly, kind of how do we measure UGRs? Really, I don't think it needs to be overcomplicated. Whatever formula your team uses to derive ROAS from paid campaigns can be applied to UGR. However, since companies are not paying hard currency out to an ad network, ROAS calculation, or the cost input, will need to be modified to include the digital currency ROAS or the value of whatever you're giving away as the cost input. I think other than that, it should be fairly straightforward. I think another note, this is especially important for mobile games and something I've run into in the past, is if you have an economy that is already inflated, you may need to understand the impact of an incentivized referral program on the overall ecosystem in more depth before choosing how much to reward users, new and or existing, for referrals. All right, so it's a little bit about tracking and onboarding referrals into an app. Let's get into how to promote your user-generated referrals program. I think it's best to think of this like a feature if you're coming from games and or you're releasing new content on apps. Like all features and or live ops events, a referral program must be announced and marketed inside the app, as well as on all owned or earned media channels. In my past experience, the channels that have the biggest impact in driving engagement in the referrals program are prominent in-app placements, or so within the app itself, of course, will drive a lot of that. And then second, maybe push notifications, because you're going to reach a lot of users with the value add of especially an incentivized referral program and advertising that to the most users possible. However, that doesn't discount email or social. These are still great places to advertise a referral program. It's really all about frequency and how much you're reminding users to engage in that referral program to help convert somebody who may be on the fence about inviting, to kind of tip them over into really coming and become a part of the referral program. I also think something that might be kind of a quick hit in terms of doing something fairly lightweight, if your app's designed this way to breathe new life into your referral program, is the seasonal refresh, especially around the holidays. It's a great way to keep users interested and checking out your referral program. And of course, new users that are coming into your system and how to get them into it to refer other new users into your app. And then lastly, I think, of course, working with product teams to test different prizes or just all of these different motivations we've gone over, and or just the fresh content, the seasonal takeovers or whatever you might have, is really key to avoiding stagnation in a referrals program. So we're getting towards the end. I want to wrap up by reminding some of the things we've learned today, which is referrals have the potential to evolve into a dependable and quantifiable growth avenue for apps. As you explore and expand your user growth referral initiative, here are some crucial points to remember. Effective referral programs hinge on motivating both the inviter and the invitee adequately. A customized onboarding experience for the invitee is essential, as any issues with the intended user journey can lead to waning interest among new users and discouraging existing users from remaining engaged or referring other users. And similar to other features in live events, the level of awareness and novelty significantly influences user engagement in referral programs. That's all the time we have today. I hope you've enjoyed this segment, and I look forward to being back on the show soon. Take care.
For more tips, pointers, and strategies from the leading edge of mobile user acquisition, subscribe to our YouTube channel right here, or check out our blog, rocketship.hq.com/blog.